Hi guys, so in this demonstration I'm just going to be running through some of the basic pattern cutting equipment that you'll need or find useful during your degree. So first, to start with the measuring equipment, you'll see that this is a Pattern Master. You will have been advised to purchase these. They're absolutely invaluable throughout your degree. What a Pattern Master does is it combines a few different elements of tools that we would use. For example, a ruler, a French curve or a set square, all combined in this one piece of equipment. So you'll find that you use that an awful lot. It really helps with getting your angles. When we start getting into grading and things like that, this is absolutely essential piece of equipment. Also, meter ruler. So this is a metal one. You can get plastic ones, but the metal ones just last and last. This is mine. I've had it since I did my degree a long time ago. So that's also a great piece of kit, especially for when you start coming to do bigger pattern pieces. You'll find that having the meter ruler length really helps there. And also a bog standard tape measure, okay? Also really useful, especially when you start to come to take measurements from the body into your patterns or from the mannequin into your patterns. Pens and pencils. In pattern cutting we use sharp pencils and strong pencils. We don't do any feathering blended lines, so they need to be a H or a 2H, always nice and sharp. You can also invest in a mechanical pencil as well. These are really useful. You can change the different types of lead that you use in them, and obviously you just refill the lead when you run out. So some people do prefer those, but to be honest, a standard strong pencil will see you through all your pattern cutting. You'll need a red pen for marking on those grain lines, and a black pen for labelling those patterns clearly. And also I use a different coloured felt tip for labelling the patterns across the top if they're staying on one flat sheet. For example, when you may be tracing out a master pattern or a master block. The next thing that you'll need is a tracing wheel. This is used to trace round patterns or blocks. It's also used in pattern manipulation for if you're maybe truing the edge of a dart or pivoting a dart. So a tracing wheel is really important. This is a pattern notcher. These are available in and around the workshops at uni. You'll basically pop notches on the ends of patterns with those, balance points on patterns. So that's a great piece of equipment, but they are available for you to use at university. Leading on from the pencils, you'll also need a rubber and a pencil sharpener. This is mine, it's combined because I have a habit of losing things. This is a pen. This evaporates, so you can mark on fabric with it and it will evaporate. This is great when you do start to come into construction, just in case you need to pop a little mark to remind you of your seam allowance when you're starting out. However, the more professional you get and the more you practice, the less you'll need equipment like this, but it can be useful when you start out. Also, another tool for marking directly onto the fabric is tailor's chalk. Tailor's chalk can come in a lot of different colours. You normally get yellow, red and white for marking on different fabrics. You can see mine's quite well used there. Tailor's chalk's a really good investment and it just brushes off the fabric when you need to remove the mark. Scissors are probably the next most important thing in your kit. So these are fabric shears, okay? They're quite big, they're quite heavy, they're quite robust and they need to be kept sharp. One way in which you can keep them sharp is to only cut fabric with them. Don't ever cut paper or card with your fabric shears. You'll find you become quite precious about your fabric shears when you're in the workshop, making sure they only get used for fabric. And also you want to invest in a really good pair of paper scissors as well. Okay, so that's the scissors. You can also see I've got two smaller scissors here. These are called snips. These are very useful for when you're on your machine, you perhaps just need to trim a thread end quite quickly. If you don't get along with the shears, a smaller pair of scissors will help you to do that when you're working on the sewing machines. That's because you don't want to use your big fabric scissors for trimming thread ends. Whilst we're talking about the construction and sewing, you'll also need an unpick, okay? Or some people call them seam rippers, stitch rippers as well. But an unpick will basically just help you to undo any lines of sewing that might have gone wrong. Everybody makes mistakes, doesn't matter what level you're at, so that's a really good piece of kit. This is your bobbin and also your bobbin case, okay? You're going to need these to use the industrial machines within the workshops at university. You'll get assigned them when you start and you'll keep them safe, ready to use. This is thread, obviously I know a lot of you will know that. This is standard sewing thread for your seams. It's strong and it's durable. You can also get much bigger spools of thread, but some of these will often be finer for use on the overlocker or the different kind of machines that will give you different stitches. So those are two different types of thread. This is my lovely teacup pin cushion. Pins are very important. We don't at university, as a rule, sew over pins. You might have been taught that you can sew over pins, and you can. However, at university, to protect the machines, protect the sewing machine needles, and also to protect your eyes, we just use pins to pin the fabric in place, but we don't tend to sew over them. This is masking tape. You will definitely need masking tape when you start out pattern cutting. Obviously, this is your pattern paper behind. This is dot and cross paper. You can get plain pattern paper as well, and also some that's traceable so you can see through it a little bit better. However, this is the standard paper that you'll start out with, and it's really good when you get going because you can use the spots and the crosses as marker points. Obviously, this does come on a roll, so sometimes your masking tape is essential for pinning and for sticking it out so it doesn't roll up on you when you're pattern cutting. This is called a punch, okay? It's a pattern punch. So mine makes lots of different shapes. You might use this at the end of darts when you've put a dart in a pattern, just so you can mark the dart point easily on your fabric. Yours might not look like this. Some are grey plastic and they look a little bit like a mushroom, but this is my wooden one. And I think looking at the board there, that's a good range of kit, and I've discussed every element on there. There's obviously lots of other tools in pattern cutting that you'll use maybe as you get more in advance, but if you had the access to all this kit, you would be really set up to complete all the pattern cutting tasks that lay ahead of you. So happy pattern cutting.